Armando Baker here.
It's Luke May.
This is Tyler Hansbrough.
University of North Carolina.
Here's North Carolina.
I just want to shout out my boy JBear_YT.
JBear_YT.
It's Carolina family, baby.
Go Heels.
Go Heels.
What's up, boys? Welcome back to another video. Today we got a fun one on board. We're going to be talking about the 2022 Football ACC Championship. As you guys know, this upcoming Saturday is the time for the ACC title game. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a position by position review of both teams and, kind of say who's better at each position for this upcoming matchup. Because as you guys know, I am a Tar Heel fan, but I'm actually keeping this unbiased, believe it or not. So I'm going to keep this unbiased. We're going to see who I think will win this game, and let's get right into it. So starting with quarterback, the matchup obviously between DJ Uiagalelei of Clemson and Drake May of Carolina. Drake May just winning ACC Player of the Year, ACC Rookie of the Year, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, and ACC Offensive Rookie of the Year. And did I forget one? ACC Rookie of the Year? Did I say that? Anyways, yeah, he got all those awards. He's been the best quarterback in the conference this year, so there's no reason for me to pick DJU here. He's struggled throughout his Clemson career, formerly a highly touted guy, but he just hasn't been what most have thought. So I am going to give I'm going to give the pretty big advantage to Drake May here, a guy who's a top 3 at worst quarterback in the country, in my opinion. That's Drake May. So I'm going to give him the thumbs up there. And so Carolina does win the quarterback battle. Running back, depicted here is Will Shipley of Clemson and Elijah Green of Carolina, the 2 starters. But keep in mind, for all these things, it's a position group as a whole I'm accounting for, and not just the starters. We'll do secondary as a whole, the linebacking group as a whole, O-line and D-line, and receiving core, and all that like that. So just ignore the players on the screen, but focus more on the position groups as a whole, is what I'm trying to say. Speaking of this running back position group, we have Will Shipley leading the pack for Clemson's running back group. They have Phil Maffa and Kobe Pace there as well to play, but Will Shipley is going to be the workhorse there. It's a good group of running backs. Will Shipley is a really extraordinarily talented guy, a really good all-purpose back. He's probably the best offensive player for Clemson. And on the other side, Carolina's running back room, while having some injuries, it's a pretty decent group. Elijah Green is depicted here. You would love to have a guy like British Brooks and Caleb Hood healthy, but Elijah Green paired with DJ Jones. You also got the 2 freshman running backs in Marion Hampton and George Pettaway, who will be available as well. Those 4 guys make up for a solid group of running backs. They're just not very experienced. So I am going to give the edge here to Clemson and say they have the better running back room in this matchup. Moving on, we have the wide receivers. Here we have depicted Antonio Williams, starting receiver, freshman receiver, by the way, for Clemson, and Josh Downs, the absolute superstar wide receiver for Carolina. Clemson's wide receiver room isn't what it is in most years, I'd say, especially with Bo Collins being out, I believe, for this game. I'm 90% sure he will not play, Bo Collins. And outside of that, Joseph Ngata has been a guy who a lot of people expected more from. He hasn't been quite as good as expected. But you flip over to the Carolina side, and you got a star-studded receiver core, led, of course, by Josh Downs. But you got some other pieces in there that are really good as well. In why am I blanking? Obviously, Antoine Green, J.J. Jones, Gavin Blackwell, Kobe Paysauer, all guys who probably will play, especially the top 4 there that I just mentioned. But those are really talented guys. So I'm going to give the edge to the wide receiver group here being Carolina, especially with the quarterback they have throwing to them. Next, we have the tight end room, and this is a talented group, man, for both squads. Clemson depicted here, we have Davis Allen, the senior tight end, and on the other side we have Kamari Morales depicted for the Tar Heels. These are the starters for the two teams. Clemson's got a pretty good room. Jake Bringingstool is going to get some burn off the bench as well. And for Carolina, it's a star-studded, three-headed monster at tight end, man. I gotta tell you, Kamari Morales, Bryson Nesbitt, and John Copenhaver, I believe they will all play. They've all had a little bit of injury issues throughout the season, I believe, especially the latter two. But I do expect all three of these guys to play, and if that's the case, I think it's actually a pretty wide margin advantage for Carolina in that scenario. Those guys, that three-headed monster, it's hard to stop them. So I'd like to see Phil Longo, UNC's offensive coordinator, utilize that three tight end set a lot more. Because, man, when they ran it, especially in the red zone, it's worked. But, so I will give the tight end advantage to Carolina. Now we get into the line play, which is honestly not Carolina's strong suit. On the left for Clemson, I depicted Jordan McFadden, the left tackle, and on Carolina's side is left tackle Awesome Richards. Probably the two most talented offensive linemen that play for Carolina. And, Clemson may be debatable. But, you talk from left to right for Clemson. Jordan McFadden, Mitchell Mays, Will Putnam, Walker Parks, and Blake Miller on the offensive line, while Carolina is looking at Awesome Richards, Edmond Tillis, Corey Gaynor, William Barnes, and Spencer Rolland. Carolina's offense started the season actually fairly solid enough, much better than it was last year, but it's fallen off as of late, and they've allowed a lot of sacks. Drake's been taking way too many hits. So I'll give the edge to Clemson here, although their line isn't like anything spectacular, but I will give the edge to Clemson in this category slightly. Here on the defensive line, I have both Myles Murphy and Myles Murphy depicted here. Yes, they are both Myles Murphy, and yes, they are spelled the exact same way. And yes, they are both studs. So that's something that's going to be a determining factor of the trenches in this game. The D-line for Clemson, talent-wise, is just absolutely incredible, man. I mean, there's just pieces all over the place. Myles Murphy, Tyler Davis, Brian Brzee, who I believe will play, but I'm not 100% sure on that, and KJ Henry, who's had a good year for himself as well. On Carolina's side, we've had some injury issues that have really set us back as far as the defensive line is gone. Starters Desmond Evans and Reva Hossack and Noah Taylor are out for the season, which is going to hurt us, to be honest. But, Myles Murphy's still in there. He's a really talented guy. And we have some pieces like Kamen Rucker, who may be our best edge rusher remaining right now, that hopefully can get some pressure and get in DJU's face. But yeah, I am going to give this edge to Clemson in this category here. Honestly, if we're being honest here, probably by a fairly big margin there. Now we move on to the linebackers, which I think is like maybe the most talented group respectively, that both teams have both extremely talented players, if that makes sense. You talk about Clemson, Jeremiah Trotter, and Trenton Simpson, both extraordinarily talented guys on that side of the ball. And for Carolina, Cedric Gray, who's depicted here, along with Power Eccles. I'd say Clemson's a little deeper in the linebacking room, but I don't know, man. I think Cedric Gray darn near might be the best linebacker on both of these teams. This extremely heady player, just tackles just find him, man. So a really good linebacking room for both of these teams. I consider it more of a push than an advantage for one team to the other, but for the depth reasons, I do give the edge to Clemson here. Although, like I said earlier, it's more so of a push in this scenario here. Moving on to the final thing of this is going to be the secondary. And both teams, I would say, have had struggles more so in the secondary than they would hope coming into the season. Depicted on the left for Clemson is Andrew Mukuba, the sophomore safety. He's probably the most talented player in their secondary, if I had to say, for Clemson. And on the right is cornerback Storm Duck for Carolina, who's had a up and down season. He's had some injuries to deal with, but when he's at his best, he's an all ACC corner. He was given an all ACC corner, and we all know that he was not having his best season. He was given an all ACC spot. But yeah, these are two talented secondaries, but secondaries that haven't really lived up to what the expectations you would think for them. Sheridan Jones and Nate Wiggins are the cornerback duo for Clemson. So we'll see how that goes. The wide receivers, I think, might have themselves a day on both sides, to be honest. But in DJU's case, can they get him the ball? I think Clemson might rely more on the run in this game. And on Carolina's side, injury riddled for the secondary. But, in a lot of cases, the talented young guys that have stepped in, especially last week against NC State, they looked better than the starters, if I'm being 100% honest here. Like when Will Hardy and Marcus Allen stepped in for Tony Grimes and Cam Kelly, they looked good. They did. They're not experienced. We'll see how that turns out. So I am going to give the edge to Clemson in the secondary category. But I think Carolina could have the upside to be better than them in this game specifically. So wrapping it up here, I'll have my final thing of what I think the prediction for the game will be. The thumb mark will predict how far to the left or right I think this team will win. So I do have Clemson with this slight favorite there being over Carolina. I could honestly easily see Carolina win this game. I feel like a lot of industries are not giving Carolina enough of a chance. The trenches are troubling, but that's something they are going to have to deal with in this game. But if they can stop Clemson's running attack, I feel good about Carolina's offense hopefully being able to get back on track, considering they've dealt with 2 games consecutively where the opponent has been dropping guys in coverage or all out blitzing either way. I think they'll be able to more so manage that. I think Carolina should be able to run the ball better if they know what kind of defense that Clemson's running, which if they've been paying attention to the last 2 games of film for Carolina, we might know the answer to that question, but I do have the slight edge going to Clemson, although I'll be rooting all out for the Tar Heels in this scenario. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this game. Give me your score prediction down below. I'm thinking in the range to 34 to 27 or something like that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do all the YouTube stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one.